I'm getting the wind on me, and I'm sitting there the whole time going, China, China, China. I'm trying to do it again and again. So then it becomes, so you don't think about it. You just do
I'm
it.
shocked by that because I figured it was something you'd been doing.
Oh, that's what I should say. I worked on it for months. So.
Well, no, it's even more impressive that it wasn't in your
I didn't
wheelhouse
really know.
to
I didn't
start
really know.
with.
But there's a guy.
Holocaust Remembrance Day. And as you know, 6 million people were at my inauguration. I mean, there were just so many people at my inauguration, but the media refuses to cover it. It's so unfair. And one day I'm going to write a memoir about this struggle. I call it My Struggle.
There is something almost inevitable about the media frenzy that unfolds whenever Jimmy Kimmel and Alec Baldwin find themselves tied to the same discussion involving Donald Trump. It has become a cycle that seems to repeat itself over and over, drawing attention from every direction. Jimmy Kimmel built his late-night reputation by using quick wits and carefully timed jokes to cut through political headlines while keeping audiences laughing. Alec Baldwin approached the conversation from an entirely different angle by portraying Trump so convincingly that his performance grew beyond a simple impression and became part of America's broader political conversation. Together, their work created a reflection of Trump's public image that millions of people instantly recognized. Rather than ignoring those portrayals, Trump repeatedly answered back, and every response seemed to add even more attention to the original joke or sketch. Each monologue, comedy segment, and televised performance sparked another round of headlines, making the back and forth feel bigger every time. What began as entertainment gradually developed into an ongoing conversation about influence, personality, public image, and the way powerful figures respond when they become the target of satire.
You were striding across the White House lawn so confidently, with so much masculinity. I'll admit it, I get sexually aroused. Thank you for breathing life back into my once slumbering penis.
That was very well said, listen.
A handful of Republicans are siding with Democrats to force it. They want to see it all. They want to know who Jeffrey Epstein's friends are, which I have to say, I know who one of them is. He looks like this. The guy, that husky one in the pink tie on the...
One of Trump's most memorable criticisms came when he described Jimmy Kimmel as the least funny person on television, a remark that followed Kimmel's hosting duties at the 2017 Academy Awards. During that globally watched broadcast, Kimmel slipped political humor into the ceremony by lightly poking fun at the newly elected president. The moment everyone remembered arrived when Kimmel jokingly acted as if he were sending a message directly to Trump, asking whether he was watching the show. The playful remarks spread across social media almost instantly because it felt like more than an ordinary joke. It came across as a direct challenge delivered with a smile, making it impossible for people to ignore. Trump answered with public complaints about the Oscars, criticizing the show's ratings and calling the event a disaster. Instead of ending the conversation, those comments stretched the story across news coverage for several more days. Ironically, every attempt to push back only kept Kimmel's name in the spotlight longer, turning the exchange itself into another chapter of the entertainment cycle, as audiences waited to see who would respond next.
Possible, you can't turn him off. He won't power down. He's like Ultron. He just keeps going. Every day, it's something crazier than the next. I made a list. This is all in the last 2 months. I made you a quick list. I will run through it. He paved over the Rose Garden. He's building a golden ballroom at the White House. He's planning a UFC fight at the White House. He cut off Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. He named himself host of the Kennedy Center honors.
It's almost unfair the way comedy aligns.
Who's on the internet, it's interesting how there are people who, now that he's not going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there are people who are lobbying to play Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
You are not one of those people?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm not lobbying, but people would say, would you do it? And there's a couple guys on the internet who are like, no, please, I'm the only man.
As the years passed, Jimmy Kimmel's role expanded beyond delivering late-night comedy. During major national conversations, he increasingly became someone viewers looked to for emotional perspective, especially when issues carried genuine personal consequences. One of the most powerful examples came after his newborn son required emergency heart surgery. Kimmel shared that deeply emotional experience with viewers and used it to highlight the importance of healthcare access across the United States. From that heartfelt monologue emerged what many people came to call the Kimmel test, built around one straightforward question. Should a seriously ill child ever lose access to medical care because a family cannot afford it? That message resonated because it was no longer simply another comedy segment. It blended personal experience with an urgent public issue in a way that connected emotionally with millions of viewers. The conversation quickly moved far beyond late-night television, entering national policy debates and transforming one emotional monologue into a widely discussed political reference point.
From ourselves by calling in the National Guard to stop a conflict that never started but could have, had he not acted to prevent an entirely fabricated crisis from spinning out of his imagination and onto our streets. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for sending troops to occupy all of these Democrat-run cities, whether we want them or not, and we do not. You know, after his big successes
As healthcare reform debates grew more heated and concerns about protections for pre-existing conditions continued to dominate public discussion, Kimmel chose not to remain silent. Instead, he directly challenged political messaging by carefully examining arguments one point at a time, presenting complicated issues in language that ordinary viewers could easily understand. Looking directly into the camera, he repeatedly argued that promises about supporting families meant very little if the actual results of proposed policies suggested otherwise. Those segments spread rapidly online because they combined genuine emotion with remarkable clarity. Rather than overwhelming audiences with complicated policy details, Kimmel translated difficult debates into simple examples that felt relatable and easy to follow. Over time, his framing became so influential that politicians themselves began responding to ideas closely associated with the Kimmel test, showing how deeply the message had entered the broader public conversation.
military tanks into Washington, D.C. He said the Smithsonian focuses too much on how bad slavery was. He called India and Norway to tell them to nominate him for a Nobel Prize, and he cut off funding for pediatric brain cancer research for children. You would think a person who himself has the brain of a child would be in favor of funding pediatric brain cancer.
Serious private conversation between three friends plus 50 reporters with cameras. I'm proud to welcome Kanye West, Yeezus, Yandi, Yadam, Yosain, an amazing guy. Thank you for coming, Kanye.
Yeah, that's right. I flew here using the power of this hat.
Kimmel also earned a reputation for challenging political exaggerations and misleading claims almost as soon as they appeared in public. He frequently relied on straightforward visual comparisons, graphics, or simple props that made conflicting statements impossible to overlook. Whether discussing disputes over crowd sizes, altered weather maps, or controversial remarks made during national crises, he consistently focused on the difference between public claims and documented facts, while keeping the tone humorous enough to engage viewers. The pattern became familiar. Trump would make a headline-grabbing statement, Kimmel would respond with a detailed comedic breakdown, and the exchange would spread rapidly across television clips and social media platforms, extending the life of the controversy even further. After the 2020 election, that same approach continued as Kimmel addressed misinformation and conspiracy narratives, turning confusing political topics into structured comedic commentary that audiences could easily understand and follow.
And they're really there's like a lot of Trump competition.
You
I got
own
sucked
it.
into this.
No one will top you on
Well,
this.
tell these guys this,
Well,
until they
don't-
say I suck.
Nobody even knows who these guys are. Don't worry about it.
I
You
can't
suck.
say bad words
That's
because I gave it up for Lent. But but this one guy's lobbying.
It should be whoever the president hates seeing do it the most, and that's undoubtedly you.
I say so.
Wouldn't you love to be in that room with him, watching you do him, and how mad that must make him?
Well, I mean, it's like, to me, it's like when people say to me, what was your whole gag? And you know as well as I do, because you're very funny, that you can kind of suggest the voice or suggest the way they look, but you got to try to think of who he is.
Here and in Washington, Trump is sending the National Guard now into Portland and Chicago. He's sending the Texas National Guard into Chicago, all dressed in camouflage, by the way. And I want to say, I know you're from Texas, guys. Camouflage will not help you blend in Chicago. You would be better off dressed as kielbasa in Chicago. Illinois state and local officials strongly opposed troops being sent into the Windy City. President Trump responded to that by calling for the governor and mayor to be jailed. That's a normal thing for presidents.
Eventually, a recognizable pattern developed. Trump would make another controversial statement, Kimmel would answer with a sharp comedic response, and the reaction often lasted much longer than the original headline itself, shaping how many viewers ultimately remembered the event. At the same time, Alec Baldwin became an equally important figure in this ongoing story through an entirely different path. During the 2016 election season, he stepped into the role of Trump on Saturday Night Live and quickly captured national attention. Baldwin's performance went far beyond copying surface-level behavior. He exaggerated Trump's speaking style, facial expressions, physical movements, and overall mannerisms until the performance became instantly recognizable. By turning familiar political behavior into theatrical comedy, Baldwin created a version of Trump that audiences across the country could immediately identify.
It's okay, he can have my tune.
Okay, Mr. Trump, 2 more minutes.
The thing about the blacks is that they're killing each other.
He hasn't released his tax returns, which means he's either not that rich,
Wrong.
not that charitable,
Wrong.
or he's never paid taxes in his life.
Warmer. I have a fantastic relationship with Mexico, okay? I have personally met with the Mexican president. I forget his name. I think it was something like Mr. Guacamole. I'm sorry, excuse me, Senor Guacamole. I also met his beautiful wife, Taquito.
Baldwin's debut as Trump on Saturday Night Live generated an immediate and powerful reaction because it arrived during one of the most politically intense election seasons in modern American history. Trump publicly criticized the impression, arguing that it was exaggerated and unfair, but those complaints only attracted even greater interest to the sketches. As the years continued, Baldwin's portrayal developed into something much deeper than a simple celebrity impersonation. His performance explored themes of confidence, ego, insecurity, and public image, using carefully exaggerated gestures and vocal delivery that reflected recognizable aspects of Trump's public appearances instead of relying on pure fiction. The character became so well known that even people with little interest in politics could instantly recognize exactly which version of Trump was being referenced whenever Baldwin appeared on screen.
Epstein's wing woman, his personal madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, out of real prison last month and transferred her into what is basically a courtyard by Marriott. The woman who has all the information on everyone is suddenly in a prison that has Pilates class, thanks to President Trump, and nobody bats an eye.
Another defining moment came after the release of the Access Hollywood recording, when Trump's private comments became the center of a major public controversy. Saturday Night Live responded by recreating the situation with Baldwin portraying Trump as he attempted to manage the growing fallout while projecting confidence in front of television cameras. The sketch connected with audiences because it stayed remarkably close to real events instead of feeling detached from them. It gave viewers the impression of watching political satire unfold almost simultaneously with the news itself. Baldwin's ability to condense fast-moving political controversy into one memorable performance transformed his portrayal into far more than a comedy character. It became a cultural reference point that many people used to interpret major political stories as they unfolded in real time.
I was expecting this phone call. Sure, she wants to tell me what a great job I'm doing. Yes, Mayor, you wanted to talk to me?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm so glad to have you on the phone. I'm begging you. Puerto Rico needs your help.
I hear you loud and clear, and you called the best person for the job. Trust me, I know things are, as the locals say, despacito. We're going to get you more help to you. We'll get you immediately, probably by Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest.
Mr. President, that's not good enough.
Throughout the years, Kimmel repeatedly pointed to what he viewed as a consistent pattern in Trump's public communication, especially the habit of repeating certain claims so frequently that they eventually sounded believable to many listeners simply through repetition. Baldwin captured that same tendency in his performances by pushing it to an exaggerated level, making the behavior impossible for audiences to miss, while presenting a version of leadership built around repetition, confidence, and emotional messaging. Major events, such as the public response to Charlottesville and several widely discussed social media posts, were quickly transformed into Saturday Night Live sketches, allowing political tension unfolding in real time to be carefully crafted satire. In one recurring segment, Baldwin's version of Trump even engaged in deliberately exaggerated exchanges with world leaders, turning serious diplomatic conversations into scenes filled with awkward humor, while quietly commenting on the style and tone of international politics.
His date with the British press by yelling at a reporter from Australia who dared to ask about the billions of dollars he's been raking in since the election.
President Trump said a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Four Corners Program.
The Australians, you're hurting Australia right. In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone. Go ahead, John.
What a little...
Mr. Trump, this leaked audio showed you saying, I can't quite say it on live television, but basically, you said you wanted to
Grab them by the pussy. Martha, this black man is attacking me. Also, speaking of black men, you know who else should be in jail? Hillary Clinton. She's committed so many crimes. She's basically a black.
Baldwin's interpretation became even more nuanced as his version of Trump began sharing the screen with fictional portrayals of world leaders, creating sketches that delivered laughs on the surface while offering a deeper perspective on global relationships, leadership, and public perception. The comedy entertained viewers, but beneath every joke was a broader observation about how political figures interacted on the world stage. When Baldwin later accepted awards connected to the role, he occasionally used his acceptance speeches to acknowledge the wider cultural conversation surrounding political leadership, further blending performance with social commentary. At the same time, Trump's public criticism of award ceremonies and entertainment industry figures created another layer of irony, because those very events continued providing some of the biggest stages where political satire reached massive audiences and remained part of the national conversation.
There's this video of what seemed to be garbage bags being thrown out of the window of the Lincoln bedroom. That's the White House. The official response from the White House said it was maintenance work being done while Trump was off on one of his many golf weekends. But Trump is even contradicting his own White House now.
There's a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residents upstairs and somebody has thrown a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably
I've turned over all my businesses to my two sons, Beavis and Butthead. They're here today. Can we get a shot of them? Look at those two little American psychos. Martha, she is trying to silence these women, but they need to be respected.
The connection between Kimmel and Baldwin became even more apparent whenever Baldwin appeared as a guest on Kimmel's show. Their conversations often moved beyond delivering punchlines and instead explored the thinking behind political behavior itself. Kimmel would regularly play clips featuring public statements or interviews, while Baldwin explained the physical movements, vocal delivery, and subtle performance choices that shaped his portrayal of Trump. Those discussions transformed what could have been ordinary comedy segments into conversations that felt surprisingly thoughtful, giving viewers the sense that they were watching entertainment and analysis unfold side by side. The combination of humor, observation, and performance created a style that felt engaging while remaining firmly connected to recognizable public events.
And Maxwell victims held a press conference on the steps of the Capitol to demand release of the files and to announce that they are making their own list of men who assaulted them to release. You know, they were scared, and they're so scared to release the names, but now they have an unlikely ally from inside MAGA.
I also encouraged him already this morning that he should have these women in the Oval Office. They deserve to be there.
You spoke to him?
Yes, I did. And I told him I'd be happy to set that up, arranging with their attorney by sharing his phone number.
What was his reaction about?
I haven't got an answer back.
I'm sure he'll get back to you on that very, very soon.
One reason Kimmel's commentary resonated so strongly was his ability to present political contradictions in a straightforward way without sacrificing factual accuracy. Rather than overwhelming audiences with complicated explanations, he frequently organized his monologues around real quotes, public statements, and documented responses, allowing viewers to recognize the difference between political messaging and actual events on their own. Baldwin reinforced that same idea through performance by amplifying many of the same characteristics within his Trump impression. Together, the two approaches created an ongoing cycle where real-world events inspired satire, and the satire in turn encouraged audiences to look back at reality from a different perspective, making each reflection feel even more recognizable than the last.
Own the Libs and deport everybody with a vowel at the end of their name is the passion project of a sick, bald individual named Stephen Miller. He is Trump's deputy chief of staff, and he is doing everything he can to turn this country into a militarized zone.
Well, the administration filed an appeal this morning with the Ninth Circuit. I would note the administration won an identical case in the Ninth Circuit just a few months ago with respect to the federalizing of the California National Guard. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority.
Stephen? Stephen? Hey, Stephen, can you hear me?
Sometimes the batteries on dildos run out.
Kimmel once explained his philosophy by suggesting that criticism from political leaders can sometimes be a sign that comedy is reaching an important truth, presenting humor as a form of public accountability instead of simple entertainment. Baldwin's portrayal followed a similar path by lasting well beyond the election that originally inspired it, eventually becoming one of the most recognizable cultural symbols connected to modern American politics. Combined, Kimmel's commentary and Baldwin's performances helped simplify complicated political moments into conversations that everyday audiences could easily understand, discuss, and share, making difficult national issues feel more approachable without losing the central ideas behind them.
Been accusing you of sexual assault.
They need to shut the hell up. Every day I turn on the news and all of the newscasters are making me look so bad.
And how are we doing that?
By taking all of the things I say and all of the things I do and putting them on TV. She's the one with the bad temperament. She's always screaming, she's constantly lying, her hair is crazy, her face is completely orange, except around the eyes where it's white. And when she stops talking, her mouth looks like a tiny little butthole.
Who was arrested? I wish him luck.
At the heart of this entire story sits an interesting irony. Kimmel, Baldwin, and Trump all built successful careers through television and performance, yet each approached that world in a completely different way. Kimmel and Baldwin used performance as a tool for observation, reflection, and critique, while Trump often treated public presentation itself as a central part of political identity, making the distinction between image and reality increasingly difficult to separate. That contrast gave much of the satire its lasting impact because it reached beyond political disagreements. It explored larger questions about perception, public identity, storytelling, and the powerful role media plays in shaping how millions of people understand public figures.
I have not. I've always liked Billy, but I have not.
Any message you'd like to send to him?
No, I think it's too bad what they did, but I've always found Billy to be a good guy.
When you were on Jimmy Kimmel, you told Mario that you would love Alec to play you. And then I interviewed Alec, and Alec said he's playing you to make your dream come true, is what he said.
Okay, well.
What do you think of his portrayal? And do you have a message for Alec?
Well, I think I'm a much nicer guy than he's portraying.
Aliens are already here. They've been hiding in this country for hundreds of years. It's a fact. They're shapeshifters. They look like regular people, but they're aliens. Look, there's one right there.
What? I am not an alien.
Yes, she is, and so is the woman next to her right there.
In the end, whether intentionally planned or simply developed over time, Kimmel and Baldwin helped create a long-running narrative in which comedy became a way for audiences to process political conflict and public frustration. Their work transformed complicated national debates into structured entertainment that remained engaging while encouraging viewers to think more deeply about the events unfolding around them. Beneath the laughter was a broader reminder about how easily truth can become vulnerable when powerful personalities, public image, and emotionally driven narratives begin shaping the conversation. Every monologue, every sketch, and every public reaction gradually became another piece of a much larger story, showing how media, politics, and personality continuously influence one another in modern culture.
Who's very mean and nasty, and I'm not mean and nasty. I think I'm a much nicer person than he's portraying, and so I think it's an inaccurate portrayal of me.
Would you ever go back to SNL? I heard rumors that you might go back.
They want me to go back. No, I'm not interested in going back. No, I'd just like to have it, look, I can speak my mind and I say it. I think they're making me out to be a very mean, bad kind of a guy. And that's not me.
Some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom.
For millions of people following these events online, the impact reached well beyond comedy itself. The message that emerged suggested satire could serve two purposes at the same time, by entertaining audiences while also documenting the behavior of influential public figures during significant political moments. Whether delivered through Jimmy Kimmel's late-night monologues or Alec Baldwin's memorable sketch performances, their combined work created an ongoing commentary that tracked how political narratives were constantly built, challenged, and reshaped in real time. The result left viewers with humor, thoughtful reflection, and an ongoing curiosity about how the next chapter in the story would unfold.